Welcome once again to Clear Skies Retirement with Jay Kirkwood at Secure Financial Management. My name is Randy Cook. Each week, Jay and I sit down here and go through some of the headlines here and there. And what we really want to go through is the headlines that you're worried about. What's going to happen with you and your retirement? There's markets, there's economy, there's tariffs, there's all that going swirling around out there. But what's going to happen in your living room? What's going to happen with your retirement? That's where Jay would like to help. Jay, how are you doing today?
I'm doing real well, Randy. What have you been up to?
Oh, it is September, and I know you're not a huge American football fan, but this is a good time of year. This is a good time.
Don't keep mentioning that. I don't want people to know. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll dive right into it. You know, one of the things that we do on this show is we'll talk about people who make mistakes in retirement plenty of times, and we've got plenty of stories like that. But then I've got a story here that we're going to start with today of somebody who seems to be doing everything right in retirement and then wrote in and say, what else can I do? And the person who was in the advisor column said, you are missing the obvious. So here's the story. It's in the Market Watch advisor column. He's 62 years old. He's married. He started saving when he was 23 years old. He's got an emergency fund. He's got a 401k. He's got real estate holdings, and he sold his business. If you add it all up, he's got $4 million. And I mean, this is a good story. Okay. So
yeah,
congratulations. You've done it right. And, but he's asking questions about IRA conversions and annuities and when should I take Social Security? All good questions. But the advisor in the column said, you know what? You're missing the obvious. You're missing, and you haven't said anything about tax planning. So I wanted to ask you, Jay, is that common that people come in, they think they've got it all on paper, it looks really good, but they're missing that one element there that we really do need to talk about?
Yeah, this is a great story to start with because in general, our business is pivoting more and more and more to the tax planning side of it. Mm-hmm. You know, there's the old story that, when you get to retirement, your biggest expense is going to be medical, right? Mm-hmm. Usually that's what it is you get older, medical's expensive. It sure is. For a lot of people, that's not what it's going to be. Mm-hmm. For a lot of people, the biggest expense is going to be taxes.
And that's a surprise to everybody.
Paying Uncle Sam his cut. Yeah, that's going to be the biggest bill that they have to write will be to Uncle Sam. It won't be to Blue Cross or Aetna or whoever, your medical provider is. It will be to Uncle Sam. Mm-hmm. Often, people do not realize this until it's too late. So whoever the advisor is that's pointing this out, kudos to them because they're trying to get ahead of it. And the very fortunate thing that this guy in the story has is that he's 62.
Okay.
He's got time. Okay. So he's got 60, he's got a 10, 12 plus year runway where he can start to get ahead of it. I'm not sure if I've shared this story with you. I'll tell you. I mean, we never use real names anyway, right? People. Okay. So I'll tell you the situation. This is what can happen if you do not plan it out. We had a couple that came to us, I don't know, maybe it's a year ago. And this guy, he's come and seen me and then never did anything. And anyway, kind of that went on for 10 years. And finally, he and his wife come in and they say, all right, look, we want to move our 401k. They never moved their 401ks after they retired, right? They've been retired for some time. I said, all right, great. We'll get working on this for you. Their financial situation's fantastic. They worked at a big company here in town and they both have pensions. They both have their 401ks and they both have their Social Security. And they're living off Social Security and pension very comfortably. It's like $10,000 a month. And they haven't had a need to touch their 401k. Mm-hmm. And when they came in and the guys are doing the paperwork, and I said to him, hey, what changed now? Like, you've been talking to me for some time, never pulled the trigger, and now suddenly, the time is, tell me what it is. I'm curious. And he said, well, I just found out about this thing called an RMD, required minimum distribution.
Right.
And each of them have a couple $1 million in their 401k. Mm-hmm. So this is like very comfortably into the six figures for their required distribution. So on top of their Social Security, on top of their pensions, they're going to have a six-figure RMD. And this is what it kind of compounds the problem because yes, are they paying significant taxes and it's probably boosting them into a higher tax bracket? Yes. They're also now exposed to something called IRMA that most people don't hear about either until it's too late. And IRMA is essentially a surcharge that higher income earners have to pay on their Medicare premium. And he said, I'm here, I want to see what we can do. And I said, hey, look, The time to get ahead of this was 10 years ago. You're in the mix now. You're in the RMD. There's very little. A lot of our options have started to disappear. So, the key to this whole thing is start early. Understand what is going on in your financial picture and start early. What 99% of the times we end up sharing with people that come into our office is there is always, let's just say, an area of opportunity, right? That's a good corporate jargon to kind of mask what's something that sounds bad.
Okay.
Is people come into us and it's typically one of two things, right? I know you want to retire, but you're not financially ready to retire. Okay. Well, that's not what they want to hear, but that's what the situation is. And now it's, well, how much longer do I have to work? How much longer do I have to save, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. That's one way it can go. Someone comes in, like this couple that we just talked about, and it's, hey, you guys are in a great financial situation. However, this is what's coming down the road. This is the tax problem that we're going to have to deal with down the road if we don't do something now. I don't think I can ever remember coming across a financial situation where there wasn't some way to improve it. Maybe it's a great situation. If you've got a plan for taxes, it's actually a good thing because it means you got money, right? But that's the area of opportunity. And anyway, I've gone on a lot without letting you talk, Randy. No, this is something I'm quite passionate about.
I think we're talking about IRA to Roth conversions here, and that's a main topic of conversation. But I mean, the other part of things, there's a tax loss harvesting that we could talk about. There are tax favored investments, annuities, municipal bonds. There's things like that. I mean, there are ways to save yourself money in retirement. I mean, if you and I sat down here and on the show said, hey, we've got a stock that you could invest in, that the whole world is investing in, and you could get $200,000 to $300,000. People be calling all the time. But if we get on here and say, hey, we can save you with some tax strategies, $200,000 to $300,000, nobody calls. I mean, and it can work in your favor. This has to be a part of your retirement planning, doesn't it?
The best real world example I can give is that one where we just talked about, where this couple has lost the most important element in investing, retirement planning, whatever you want to call it, and it's time.
Yeah.
And if you haven't done anything, we've got people that listen to us every week, Randy, and probably for 10 years, they're like, yeah, I've really got to get on top of this. I've really got to do something. And maybe they've even talked to somebody, right? And they just never executed on it. I'd encourage you as much as I can to start doing something, whether it's with us, whether it's on your own, whether it's with somebody else. Start the process because you're losing time. And I heard this phrase a while ago, and it's great. It says that more is lost to indecision than wrong decisions, right? You're never going to have 100% of the information. Like, you don't be reckless. Like, you make the most informed decision you can, but you've got to make a step. You've got to move off and start the process at some point. I don't know about your wife. My wife doesn't listen to the show, Randy, as shocking as that is. But and because of that, I'm going to share a story about her because she won't hear. Knowing my wife, she'll listen this weekend, right?
Perfect.
Yeah. And so we are somewhat opposites in the way that we approach decision making, right? She thinks I make decisions too quickly and kind of, take a course of action. She takes forever to decide upon something, right? And maybe I should be a bit slower. I don't know. It's just not the nature of who I am. But I've said to her, I said, hey, sweetie, if you were a squirrel, you would have been dead years ago. And this is the reason why. You would have seen a nut out on the street or whatever it is squirrels pick up off the street, and you would have run out there and got your nut, and then there would have been a car coming. And you would have gone left, and then, oh, wait a second, I should have gone right, and then you would have gone right, and then you said, no, actually, I was right the first time I should, and splat, the car's going to get you. Because you need to take a course. Anyway, we kind of got into the weeds here a little bit, but you get the point.
Yeah. Yeah. And for us to sit here, and for those of you who are listening right now, and I get it, you're gathering information in order to make a decision on what you want to do with your retirement. And you say, here's a guy who's on the radio every week. Let me see what he has to say. Okay, well, if you like what you hear, why don't you just give us a call and we'll just sit down together. There's no cost to have that meeting and do some work on your retirement and see what comes out of it. You may find, hey, this is the guy I was looking for, and this is the kind of planning, and this is the kind of, I'm feeling good about this. Let's sit down and talk about it together. Here's 2 ways that you can do that. You can use our website, which is retire210.com. Pretty easy. Just retire210.com. There's a bottom of the page there. There's a place for you to put some information in there. And then Jay's team will reach out to you and say, hey, how can we help? What are you concerned about? What are your questions? What are your concerns? Let's get them all out on the table and go from there. Or you can call us 210-985-6200. Again, 210-985-6200. Well, a lot of people, as Jay has said, wonder if they can retire. That's a big question. You come into Jay, let's work the numbers. Can I retire? Then there's other people that want to go about it a little differently. They want to go part-time. So in the Money Wise column, somebody wrote in, and it was Tracy from Philadelphia. She's 62 years old. She is so ready to retire, but health has now become an issue. And she's like, Can I cut back to part-time? Can I do that? So Jay, talk to me about that a little bit. At age 62, there's some issues there with health care. If you walk away from your full-time job, now you got to get to Medicare. That's 3 years away. That's a big issue. Let's talk through some of those things. If somebody said to you, I want to walk away, but maybe not full-time, I want to go part-time.
Yeah, it's something we're dealing with a lot. And what's complicating it is the Affordable Care Act policies that are out there, love them, hate them. You think it's right, you think it's wrong, whatever. Like, that's what's out there at the moment. There's a lot of changes going on with the subsidies that people could be eligible for to receive with those. So that's very in flux at the moment. A lot of our clients come from a big employer here in town here, and they are ending their retiree health insurance at the end of this year. So we're dealing with that with hundreds of our clients is, well, what do we do for this period between however old you are, 62, for example, and 65? And it's got to be approached in one of 2 ways. Either we've got to make sure we're budgeting fairly significantly, right, for that period of time that we can pay for our premiums out of pocket. A lot of people are investigating the part-time option, and it's not because they need the income to support their retirement. It's for the health insurance, the health insurance issue. I've joked with my clients. I was like, hey, I'm going to start another company. I'm going to hire all you guys. I'm not going to pay you anything. I'll cover all your health insurance. They're like, boom, sign me up.
I love it. So it is an option, certainly, to talk through, but the healthcare issue is a big one. Then it's the finances, too. At 62, she could pull the trigger on Social Security. Maybe that helps out. That's one of those situations where maybe we don't wait till 68 or 70. Maybe you pull the trigger on that early, and that gets you to the point you want to get to. There's another income decision we have to talk through.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a conversation we can have another time. When do I take Social Security? 62, 70? Do I wait? Yeah, there's all sorts of different theories on that. But health insurance is becoming a bigger issue. There's some people that say to me, fingers crossed they'll lower Medicare eligibility to 60. I was like, yeah, probably it's going the other way, man. It's probably not coming down.
Yeah.
It's going up, if anything, I would suggest. Yeah, look, there's a lot. I bet, Randy, there's a ton of people listening to us that they are early 60s, and they're working because of the health insurance. That's what's keeping them there.
Well, let's have that conversation with you. If that's the situation that you're in, there's nothing really we can do except do the math on your retirement. What's coming in? What's going out? Can you walk away? Can you walk away part-time? What can you do? That's why Jay is here. Give us a call. Give us a look up on Secure Financial Management. Here's our website, and here's our number. Retire210.com. Pretty easy. Retire210.com. Bottom of the page there, you're going to see Jay's book, and you're also going to see a place where you can put some things in there to give us a little information on what we need to call you back and say, let's start the conversation. Tell me what you're concerned about. You want to retire early? Let's do the math on it. You can also call us at 210-985-6200. 210-985-6200. Well, a lot of us are going to bring to retirement a 401k. That's where some of our money is going to come from. For some people, that's where all the money is going to come from other than Social Security. And we have been talking about President Trump and how he wants to put Bitcoin, private equity, and IPOs into your 401k. He wants you to have that particular option in there. That's not done yet, but he keeps talking about it. Well, if you were to look in your 401k and it were to say Bitcoin, you'd go, okay, that's either for me or not for me, or that's too risky. I don't want to go there. But that's not how this might happen. It might happen that these things are going to appear in a target date fund. And in this country right now, there are $4 trillion in target date funds. That's the one in your 401k that has a year after it. Okay? So what's going to happen is that's going to get put in there, and you're not even going to know it because it's going to be one of those long lists of things that is inside your 401k. So I know that when you do an analysis of a 401k, this is the kind of stuff that you can find out. But what would you say about Bitcoin and IPOs and private equity and that kind of thing, just overall in a retiree's portfolio?
Yeah, look, this is going to be great until we have another 2008 or another 2022. That's what it's going to be, Randy, because typically the higher your potential rate of return, the greater the risk you're taking in general, right? That's how these things work, right? This is the problem with the 401k, right? Most people have their greatest asset is their 401k. You know, if we were talking 20 years ago, it was always, your home is going to be your biggest asset, whatever, right? And well, it's not anymore for most people. And most people, a lot of people, it's their 401k. But they've got this bucket of money that has 500,000, a million, 5 million, whatever it is. You know, we've seen all different types in it. And no one's giving you any help on it. You've got to try and navigate this thing yourself. And this is the default of how most people pick. It's either a target date fund because they don't know what else to do. So when I see someone in a target date fund, I know what the answer is, right? But I ask the question, hey, how'd you get to this? Like, well, I didn't know what else to do. And this is probably about when I retire. So I was like, all right, fine. That's what I thought the answer was. Or if it's an allocation, I'll say, I'm not saying this allocation is wrong. Just give me some kind of feedback about how'd you get here. I'm trying to get some insight. What sort of investor you are, right? I know what the answer to that one's going to be as well. It's going to be like, well, I looked at what the return had been for this and it had done really well. So I went into it. That's why they always say, hey, past performance is no indication of future, right? And so you've got this huge asset there that no one's really helping you with. Even if you call the 401k provider, what they'll tell you is we can't give you advice on the fund. Right, that's what they'll tell you is we can't give you a recommendation on what to do here. We can just walk you through a few things. So what's going to happen is they're going to seep into 401ks. People are going to invest in them because the returns look great. We had a knockout year in 2024. We had a good 2023. Surprisingly, 2025 isn't doing that badly either, even after what happened earlier in the year. And, well, hey, these are high returns. I'm going to go into it. And then we are going to have a down market. It's just going to happen. That's part of investing. And people are not going to know the risks that they're really exposed to.
Gotcha. So these are kind of things when we talk about IPOs, Bitcoin, private equity, these are more high risk investments. So if that were to take place, this is going to pull your portfolio down. And then you're wondering, why is my target date fund not doing well? The only way to really find that out is to dig in there when you do an analysis and say, okay, we're finding out that you're taking an awful lot of risk here because look at where that money is being placed.
And to find out what's in those things is like going through a telephone book of information. That's what the big thing is for a lot. And look, I mean, I get it. I would be the same way too. Like I get stuff where I look at it, I'm just like, yeah. Okay, best example. The terms and conditions on all these downloads that we have for our Apple phones or if you've got an Android, whatever, and they update the user system, and it's like, oh, you've got to agree to these. It's like, yeah, whatever, boom, approved. Yeah. You don't know what's in it because, like, I mean, even if you read the whole thing, it'll take you a full day, and you still won't understand it. It's the same thing.
Do you have any people that come in and they have kids and adult kids, obviously, maybe they're in their 60s when they see you, their kids are in their 30s and 40s, and they say, well, my son says I should get into Bitcoin. My son says I should do private equity. My son says I should do this. And what is your response to that?
Sometimes their son works at Walgreens or CVS, right? And is giving them these recommendations as to how they should. I'm just like, hey, if you want to do that, we can. Just be advised that's your son's recommendation, not mine.
And he's a completely different kind of investor than you are. You're moving into a period of time where you're using your money, not you're putting money away.
That's exactly right. Like, that may be the right option for him. He's going to be working 30 years, 40 years maybe. So he's got a long time horizon in front of him. That's correct. Almost everyone has that pivot from, I'm going from my work, where I go in for 40 plus hours a week. I get my paycheck every other week or twice a month, however you get paid. I'm contributing to my 401k. Everything's going pretty well. I'm in growth mode. Let's grow this thing as much as possible. To then, when they retire, and it tends to happen 4, 5, 6 months before they retire, or 4, 5, 6 months after, right? Kind of this realization comes in that the paycheck is stopping. I'm going to have 40 plus hours on my hands every week to fill, and I've got to figure out a way to make this bucket of money last the rest of my life. And that appetite for risk, it doesn't disappear, but it definitely changes.
Yep. And that's something that we can show you when we do an analysis of what you are doing right now. I mean, that's really what it is to have that first meeting, is to talk through who you are and what you want to do in retirement, and then say, okay, what have you done to save for retirement? Let's take a look. Let's take a deep dive into that and see if you're getting what you should out of it. Is there too much risk there? And what is it going to mean for you per month in your retirement years? Important information. Let's get it to you. Here's our website. Here's our number, retire210.com. Give us a look on the website. At the bottom of the page is a place for you to put a little information in there, and then our team will reach out to you, give you a call, and say, hey, what has it got you bugged? What are you concerned about? What are you worried about? What's keeping you up at night? And let's talk through some of that. Then maybe we sit down in the office and go through all of it. You can also call us, bypass all that, and do it this way. 210-985-6200. 210-985-6200. All right, so for those of you who say, I'm going to retire, but I think I'll work a little bit part-time while I'm retired. I found a fun article, and this is from the people at TIAA. These are the top interesting jobs for retirees. I think you'll like these. The Secret Hotel Sleeper. Luxury hotels are hiring mystery guests, like you, to stay overnight and rate everything at the hotel, from the beds to the service. They're paying $100 to $300 a night, but you get a free room and you get free food. I kind of like that one. Okay. Next,
I'd do that one for free.
I think so, too. All right. How about the Lego sculptor? If you like Legos, you have grandchildren, you got Legos. If you want to build large-scale Legos and displays, top earners in Legoland are making $37,000 to $50,000 a year to put these things together. All right. But here's my favorite, if you can handle it. The pet food taster. Purina is hiring people to test pet food. The pay is around $40,000 a year, if you can handle it.
They're going to have to bump that pay up to get me into that one. I'll take the hotel one.
I think
Randy.
that's the best
Mark
one.
me down for that one. Yeah.
I've got a couple of cats, and I tell you, when you put that canned food down, some of that stuff doesn't smell so good. But they eat. The worse it smells, the more they like it. All right. Well, we want you to have a great time in retirement, whether you're working part-time in a fun job like that, or you just say, I'm hanging up my cleats. That's it. I'm done. I'm just riding off into the sunset. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. It's going to take some money to do that. It's going to take a plan to do that, and we would love to sit down and talk to you about that. Here's our website, retire210.com. Again, retire210.com. Go down to the bottom of the page, put a little information in there, your contact information. We'll call you and say, how can we help? That's really what it starts. It's a listening kind of a situation. We'd love to have that opportunity. Or call us at 210-985-6200. And remember to have this podcast delivered straight to your favorite podcast platform by hitting like, follow, or the subscribe button. Thanks again for listening to Clear Skies Retirement, and we'll see you next time.
Investment advisory services offered through investment advisory representatives at Secure Financial Management, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed are not designed nor intended to be applicable to any person's individual circumstances. It should not be considered as investment advice, nor does it constitute a recommendation that anyone engage in or refrain from a particular course of action. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate, and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Secure Financial Management is licensed in your state, please contact their office. Secure Financial Management is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Wholesalers Insurance. Jamin J. Kirkwood, Texas Insurance License number 1421850.